The yarn world can be slightly challenging to navigate, so I'm here to give you a little bit of a helping hand. So when you make your next garment, shawl, hat, whatever, you're a little more clued in as to what you need. Hey everyone, it's Hannah, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the different types of yarn and how to choose the right one for the project that you want to be making. Hello, my name is Hannah. I am a yarn dyer, and which means I've been dyeing yarn now for 7 years, and I've been doing it full time. I've been doing it full time for 7 years, so I've been dyeing yarn for 8 years. Almost 9 years. So I've learned quite a lot in that time. So I thought I would chat to you today about choosing the yarn you want to use. Otherwise, you might fall into the trap of always knitting with the suggested yarn. And sometimes the suggested yarn just isn't suited for your personal wants and needs. First things first. You are going to want to decide how easy you would like this to be to look after. I guess first things first, budget is the big one. But also you need to think about how easy you want this to be washed, worn, cared for, because that will definitely impact your decision. I am pro acrylic yarn. This jumper I'm wearing is acrylic yarn. It was knitted by my grandma for my mum. My grandma died when I was 8 and I'm now 35. I am wearing this jumper. I love it. I'm pretty sure it's acrylic. I've worn it so much. But acrylic yarn is a great option. I will go into more about the fibre, but sticking to the wool bit, you need to think about if you want to go superwash or non-superwash. If you want more information about what makes yarn non-superwash and what makes yarn superwash, let me know. I can do a separate, probably short video about that. But essentially, superwash yarn can be machine washed. I've never put it in the tumble dryer myself because I do not put my knits in the tumble dryer ever. Even acrylic ones, they never go in the tumble dryer. But superwash yarn can be machine washed. Non-superwash yarn, it is not recommended to put it in the washing machine because it will felt. Sometimes you would like it to felt, like with the sailor slippers that are very trendy at the moment, and I'm very tempted to cast on, but I do not have the yarn. I'm trying not to buy more yarn. I have enough. But the sailor slippers, for example, you knit them huge, you shrink them down. Super cozy. You want that to shrink. So you want non-superwash yarn, because if you use superwash yarn, they're not going to shrink. And then you've got just massive floppy slippers that will only fit over a clown's shoe. It's important to think about what characteristics you want your project to have. Do you want it to be super cozy? Do you want it to be drapey? Do you want it to be heavy? Do you want it to be light and airy? Do you want it to keep you cool? Is it a summer knit, for example? What do you want the stitch definition to be like? If you've got cables, you want good stitch definition. I'm not going to talk about every single fibre that exists in this video because this video would be about 10 hours long, and neither you nor I like to listen to me talk that much. But if you want more information about specific fibres, please let me know. In this video, I'm only hitting on the big names. I'm not going into too specific breeds of sheep. I feel like someone who is a spinner might be able to talk a little bit more about some of the breeds of sheep that are commonly used with fibre. I do not spin yarn. I have enough time-consuming hobbies. I don't need a new one as much as I always want to buy fibre. So we're going to be starting to talk about wool fibre, animal fibre to start with. And we're going to start with merino. Merino is a very common one. Merino is a breed of sheep, in case you were unaware. It's very popular amongst yarn dyers to have a merino base. It's super duper soft, super duper silky, lovely, delightful. I personally have a merino base. Do I have any of it over here? Not that isn't caked up. That's not merino. That's merino. Super squishy, super soft, and delightful. I've used it for baby knits. I've used it for my own knits. Quite warm, quite lovely. I do find, personal opinion, not the best for socks. She says, after having knit some merino socks, and I'm wearing merino socks. I do find that it wears very quickly. So if you're very hard wearing on your socks, like my husband, then do not make merino socks because you will get holes in them so fast. This is a holy sock I need to mend. Merino sock yarn, for example, my yarn base is called merino sock because people love the silky softness, and it's often mixed with nylon just to give it that extra stability that sock yarn needs. This does mean that merino can pill quite quickly, which, I mean, it's not always a terrible thing. Like, this jumper's quite pilled. It's an excuse for me to get my de-pilling machine out. I was having a lovely time doing that just before I started filming this video. Very quick tangent. I bought a jumper for my daughter off of Vinted, and it arrived today. It's just a Marks and Spencer's one. It's for next Christmas. It looks huge. Age 2 to 3. She's never going to be that big. She is going to be that big. I've said that for every size so far. But it was so incredibly pilled. I was having a lovely time with my de-pilling machine, and then I got very distracted, and all of a sudden the time passed, and then I had a 50-minute phone call with my parents, and it's just like, oh god, I got this video to film. Blueface Leicester. Blueface Leicester is a British breed of sheep. Blah, blah, try say that 3 times fast. It's my personal favourite. It is the base that I started my business with. I love, love, love Blueface Leicester. I think it dyes nicely. I think it wears nicely. It's a little scratchy for some people. It's scratchier than merino. It is scratchier and itchier than merino. So if you have princess skin, and I'm not saying that in a mean way, my sister has princess skin. She fully admits it. I don't think I'd ever knit her anything in any form of wool. But if you have princess skin, maybe avoid Blueface Leicester. It's not the scratchiest. I've used scratchier yarn. It's not like a really rustic yarn, but it is scratchier than merino. It is much more hard wearing than merino as well. It doesn't pill as much. It's much better for socks. I love it for socks. So good. Saying that, also, if you're hard wearing on your socks, you will still get holes in it. This is a Blueface Leicester base. My husband, he needs to learn how to mend his own socks. Yak. Delightful. I've used yak a fair amount. It is very soft. It is warmer than a lot of sheep yarn. With that, very durable. It doesn't pill very easily. It is a luxurious fibre, so it might be it is more spenny. It's a little pricier, but it's beautiful. I love a yak. This is a yak. This is a yak base. My yak base is paired with merino, so there's only 20% yak in this. It's paired with merino and nylon. That's just, I guess, to bring the price down a little bit of it. It's got wonderful drape. The thing with yak is you generally don't get as bright colours as you do with non-yak bases because the yarn itself is already grey. So this was dyed on top of the grey yarn. So it's much more muted. But also, I love that effect. Whilst we're on luxury yarns, I'm going to be talking to you about alpaca yarns, which are obviously from alpacas. Another luxurious yarn. So lovely. Very, very soft. Very luxurious. It doesn't have lanolin in. So if you are sensitive to lanolin, you might be able to use alpaca. I'll let you experiment with that on your own terms. Because the core of the hair is hollow, it traps a lot more air in, making it very warm, cozy. It's also very durable and strong, so it's not as likely to pill as, say, a merino. It has gorgeous sheen. It's got gorgeous drape. I have a skein of it in my stash. I don't have a whole lot of alpaca in my stash, but this is Blue Fern Yarns. And this is 70% baby alpaca, 20% silk, 10% cashmere. So super luxurious and soft and just, oh, I love it. It takes dye so nicely. And I believe this is non-superwash. There are many more breeds of sheep that I could talk about. But like I say, this video will be 10 hours long. And neither you nor I want to sit here for that length of time listening to me talk about breeds of sheep. If you do, I can do another video talking about different breeds of sheep. But I'm just highlighting some of the main ones. Is that okay? I'm stepping into fluffy yarn because fluffy yarn is having a moment. It's having a trend. It has been for a while now, but I'm going to be looking at mohair versus Suri alpaca. Those are the two big hitters. There is also, I have completely forgot about that whilst I was writing these notes. There's also a new yarn on the block. This is superwash 80% superwash brushed merino and 20% nylon. This is what some people are stocking or starting to stock now. I can already tell that this is going to pill, but this is the merino fluff. So obviously this has the characteristics of the merino, but it is a slightly more affordable fluff because the two fluff bases that I'm talking about are often paired with silk. And so that obviously makes them that bit more expensive. First up, we are going to chat mohair. Mohair is one of the yarns, or it's the first fluffy yarn that I personally started to dye. And it's the first kind of one that had its moment in the sun before Suri alpaca came in. So mohair is from Angora goats. And the halo of it, which is like the fuzzy fluffiness around, is longer than the Suri. Let me get a skein of Suri. I have a skein of all of these in my stash. Oh gosh, I lost the label. I lost the label. The label's got the tape has got covered in fluff, so the label is not sticking anymore. But this is some ZZ Textiles. So this one is 74% baby Suri alpaca and 26% silk. This one is Through the Wardrobe Yarn Co. 72% mohair, 28% silk. And so the Suri is the grey. So the fluff is shorter on the Suri than on the mohair. Both of these incredibly warm. They trap the air very well, which is great. And it's been snowing here recently and very, very cold. So I've been wearing my mohair jumpers and having a wonderful time. Mohair can be scratchy and itchier than the Suri. So I've seen a lot of people moving over to Suri. And I think I actually do prefer the Suri myself because it is so soft. Mohair can often be dyed in slightly brighter colours as the Suri does mute the colours quite a lot. So whereas the mohair has a longer halo, the Suri has a denser halo, so it fills out the holes in your knitting a little bit more. So it just depends on the kind of look that you're looking for. Suri also has more lustre and drapes better than mohair. Yarn can also be made from plant fibres such as cotton, such as bamboo, linen, tencel. I'm once again not going to touch on all of these. I've just kind of gone for the three hard hitters. So these are better for your summer garments, obviously. They do not keep you as warm, or if you're vegan or allergic to any of these. Cotton is very lightweight, very cool. It's also quite absorbent. It's good moisture wicking, so that also helps to keep you cool, but it also means it's quite good for making dishcloths, towels, things like that. You get beautiful stitch definition with cotton, and cotton is also very durable. Something you do have to look out for though is it can get quite heavy when it's wet, so you do need to be careful when you're washing it, because if you hang it up it can stretch quite a lot. Cotton doesn't have the same memory that wool has, so wool springs back, not all the time, but springs back to a certain degree, whereas cotton less so. And because cotton doesn't have the same amount of stretch that wool does, it can be very hard on your hands as you're working with it. That is true for all of the plant yarns. But cotton, linen, both of them, they do soften up with wear and use. So whilst you might think this is too scratchy, if once you wash it, wear it a couple of times, wash it, wear it, wash it, wear it, it will just continue to get softer and drapier and more beautiful. So speaking of linen, also wonderful moisture wicking properties. It's almost like this has been discovered, and that is why a lot of summer wear is made out of linen and cotton. It allows for air circulation around your body, so that also helps to keep you cool. It has a beautiful natural sheen, and like I've mentioned, it gets so soft and drapey with wash and wear. Oh, delightful. I do not have any plant fibres in my stash, so I cannot demonstrate them to you. I apologise. Bamboo is the final plant fibre I'm going to be talking about today. Feels super luxurious. I have knit socks that have bamboo in them, and oh, the sheen. The sheen is beautiful. It is hypoallergenic, apparently, and also great moisture wicking properties. It has a beautiful drape, so it is great for shawls and very light garments. You can't make anything too heavy with bamboo because it can stretch under the weight of itself. So you don't want your makes to get stretched out. It is often that little bit more expensive though than cotton, linen. Acrylic yarn. I'm not a yarn snob. I am not a yarn snob. I love acrylic yarn, as I have already mentioned. I especially love using acrylic yarn for baby knits, toddler knits, and the like. I was going to show you this, but I'm pretty sure that this is 80% wool, 20% wool. Which is this? It's 80% acrylic, 20% wool. I've been joined by a cat. Hello, Miso. Cat tags. I love acrylic yarn. I think it very much has its place. and it makes for very durable, wearable garments. Me say you're very distracting. It can be a lot more budget friendly. It's hypoallergenic. It washes again and again and again. It's very forgiving. What is happening? It holds its shape really well. It doesn't shrink. It's really easy to look after. So if you're doing gift knits and you're gifting to someone who's just had a baby and they don't wear knitwear often, they might feel nervous about washing wool. Acrylic's great. I'm just going to be stroking the cat. Apologies. It's very warm as well. Can be a bit sweaty. Isn't as moisture wicking as some of the other fibres that I have mentioned. Also comes in a great array of very vibrant colours. If you hear a cat purring, I apologise. I'm going to briefly chat about the different weights of yarn. By weights of yarn, I mean thickness of yarn. I do not mean the size of the ball skein hank itself. I'm talking about the thickness of the strand of yarn. It's called the weight of yarn. I don't understand it either. There's a couple of different ways of knowing what the weight of the yarn is. Often on the label, it will say what it is, but you can also look at meters versus grams, and you can also do wraps per inch. But once again, I think that's more of a spinner thing because I'm not out here wrapping. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Or if you've lost the label, that's also another good one, wraps per inch. I'm not going to be talking about wraps per inch. I'm just going to very briefly touch on different weights of yarn. Lace weight yarn is the thinnest yarn that you can get. It's often used for shawls, or if you're a glutton for punishment, very lightweight garments. For example, this is a lace weight yarn, but yes, this is often held together with something in a pattern when I'm using it. So per 100 grams, lace weight yarn is often 800 to 1,200, 1,200 meters per 100 grams. Next up, we are going up to sock weight yarn, 4-ply yarn. In the UK, it's called 4-ply yarn. It doesn't necessarily mean that the yarn itself is 4 plies. I don't know. I don't know why we call it 4-ply yarn. It just is. Or fingering weight yarn, which I cringe when I say it. I cannot refer to it as. I cannot. Often used for socks, baby garments, shawls. I've used it in shawls. Lightweight garments. I've used it in jumpers. Very nice. That's usually about 380 to 420 meters per 100 grams. What is happening, Miso? Sport weight yarn doesn't really exist in the UK. It's kind of just like a light DK or a heavy 4-ply. It's the weird one in between. We don't have sport weight yarn here in the UK that often, but it's often used for similar items that 4-ply is used for. Claws in my leg. And that goes from about 300 meters to 360 meters per 100 grams. DK stands for double knit. This is kind of like a light medium weight of yarn. Pretty sure this yarn is double knit. A lot of yarn is double knit. Or a lot, that's not true. A lot of garments that I have in my wardrobe have used double knit. It's good for garments. It's good for blankets. Good for hats. It's a good all-rounder. It's good for baby knits. It's good for slightly thicker socks. And that's about 220 meters to 280 meters per 100 grams. Also, just to add a confusing layer, you could hold 2 strands of 4-ply yarn together to also make DK weight yarn, which is fun and exciting, and something that I do quite a lot because I have quite a lot of leftovers. This is my Mild Magic shawl. A lot of that is 2 strands held together. Worsted weight is another one that doesn't really exist in the UK. It is kind of akin to an Aran weight, but I'll get more into Aran weight in a minute. Can you stop clawing my jeans? It's a good medium weight yarn. It's good for blankets. It's good for garments. It's good for hats. Its worsted weight is from about 140 meters to 200 meters per 100 grams. Aran weight, slightly thicker again. Very nice for jumpers, very nice for blankets, very nice for hats. This jumper that I knit the pickle is out of an Aran weight yarn. Very cozy, very warm, very delightful. That's about 120 to 200 meters per 100 grams. Like I said, worsted weight and Aran weight, very similar. Worsted weight doesn't really exist here in the UK, from at least what I understand. Next, we're moving into bulky/chunky weight. In the UK, it's chunky. In the US, I believe it's bulky. That's even thicker still. It works up very, very quickly. It's good for blankets. It's good for jumpers. It's good for cardigans. It's very good if you just want a quick little knit because it works up so quickly. That is about 100 to 120 meters per 100 grams. And then we've got super bulky, or super chunky, as it's called in the UK. Even thicker still, usually under 90 meters per 100 grams. Very good for a very quick hat. People also use it, oh, the sun's gone in. People also use it for really thick, chunky garments, which is look toasty. Finally, I'm going to be talking to you about different plies. I think I've got rid of the cat. She wouldn't settle. And she's still here. She's still distracting. She's still around. She's probably going to knock this setup I have going on, but she's not on my lap right this second. The ply of a yarn talks about how many different strands makes up the yarn itself. Different plies, good for different kinds of projects, good for different things. They all have their own unique characteristics. So important to think about what ply you are using when you are making your garment or project. So single ply is just one strand that's been twisted. There's also roving that people use to make garments. I don't know how I feel about roving, and also like massive hand knit blankets were a thing of probably many years ago now. I don't know, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, time is a weird soup, many references. But I don't know how I feel about roving being used for things like that, because it just doesn't wear well. It just pills instantly and looks tired very quickly. Anyway, single ply, a thinner single ply, lovely. I personally wouldn't use it for a garment, but you do you, because it doesn't wear very well. It doesn't have that much of a twist in it, so it does pill very quickly. Please don't use them for socks. You know what? Do what you want. Do what you want. I'm not your mother. It's very soft, very drapey, beautiful for shawls. Beautiful. I don't have any single ply in my stash because, as a general rule, I do not buy single ply. 2 ply, so it's one extra strand. It's obviously, right, what I'm just going to say now, because I've made this note on every single one of my bullet points. Each additional ply makes it stronger than the previous ply. So then I'd have to say in every single one. 2 ply yarn, stronger than single ply yarn. I feel like that's a given. It does have a wavy edge because there's nothing to fill out the gaps. So it has a wavy edge to it. But this makes it really good for lace knitting and also for colour work knitting, because it kind of blends the colours quite nicely together. 3 ply yarn is rounder than 2 ply yarn. Not as round as single ply, but rounder than 2 ply yarn because you have that extra strand in there. This makes it really, really good for textured stitches and cables. Likewise with 4 ply yarn. Wonderful for textured stitches and cables, and then it's just that little bit stronger again than 3 ply yarn. And in this instance, when I'm talking 4 ply yarn, I'm not talking about the weight of yarn. I am actually talking about how many strands make up the yarn. I don't know why we don't have different terms. It's very confusing. So that's just a little bit of information talking to you about the different things that you should think about when you are picking your yarn base. It's so easy to either just pick the recommended yarn, which there's nothing wrong with that, but maybe they don't have the colour that you want. But it's also so easy to just be like, I like that colour. And then you realise that it's, you know, a worsted weight, Aran weight jumper, and you've picked up a sock weight yarn, and you're like, oh, didn't look into that. I didn't think about that. Or you think, oh yes, this colour will be really nice to make my husband's socks. And then you realise that it is merino and nep, and there's no nylon in it, and so he makes holes in it incredibly quickly. I did that. He's got big feet as well, so it takes me so long to knit him socks. Oh. And one final tip. If you're substituting yarn, I mean, you should gauge swatch anyway. I'm sorry, I know people are very against it. I always swatch for garments, not for shawls or hats actually, but I always swatch for garments. If you're choosing a yarn, or if you're holding 2 strands of sock weight yarn together instead of a DK, please swatch, because then you will make sure that it adds up. I think it's much better to spend an hour swatching than to spend 20, 30, 40 hours knitting a jumper for you to try it on and think, oh, it's too big, I can't wear it. Swatch. I don't even think it takes an hour to swatch. Just swatch. I don't block my swatches. You should probably block your swatches. I do not block my swatches. So I only half swatch. But if you're substituting yarn, try try to look at the length and weight of the yarn so you can find a yarn that is similar, so you know that the yarn that you have is a similar thickness, because if they just used a DK weight yarn, that DK weight yarn could be 280 meters per 100 grams, and the one that you've got is 220 meters per 100 grams, so the yarn you have is a bit thicker. So it's just little things like that. If you're substituting yarn, make sure you swatch to make sure that your gauge matches the intended gauge. You might have to switch your needle size. That's okay. We can chat more about gauge swatching if you're interested. Not right now, but just like let me know. And my final piece of advice, I don't think many of you are complete beginners, but if you are a complete beginner, make your life a little bit easier. Try to not knit your first project out of very black yarn, and try not to knit one of your first projects out of like novelty fun yarn. No snowflake yarn, no tinsel yarn. I have a cat that I knit when I was 9. My sister and I knit it when we were on holiday in Norfolk. No, Dartmoor, other side of the country. Yes, Dartmoor, other side of the country. And my mum is a very good knitter. And so we had the pattern, we bought the yarn, lovely, really hard to knit. I mean, we both did it, but my goodness, we did not make it easy on ourselves. Try not to use novelty yarn for your early projects. I'm not saying don't buy the fancy yarn. Buy the fancy yarn. If you want to buy the fancy yarn, buy the fancy yarn. But yeah, try to make yourself, your life a little bit easier if you can. Anyway, I hope that I helped in some way. I hope I helped clear things up a little bit. And yeah, I enjoy chatting yarn. So I hope you enjoyed listening to me chat yarn. Let me know if you would like any more videos like this, or what you would like videos like this to be about. Does that make sense? I don't know if that made sense. If you want any more sort of info videos, let me know. Is there anything that you would like more information on? Let me know. It's what the comments section is for, what you're currently working on. I would love to know. And with all that said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being amazing. Links to all my social media can be found in the description box below. And yeah, I post a video here every single Friday. So if you'd like to subscribe, it would be lovely to have you along for the ride. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.